Hello viewers, my name is Tess, and today we're going to talk about loss as in death, and the lessons that I have picked from losing loved ones. I bet perhaps they might relate to you, I'm not sure. So if you followed me on this channel, you know that I lost my sister to complications associated with Down syndrome. That was a while back. And I also turned 28 on 6th of August, and that day I lost my maternal grandmother. So if you might have also noticed that I've had a moment of quietness and not posting or not talking about anything, but I was just going through life and the grief and the mourning, because my grandmother was really close to me. You know, she cultivated a relationship with us, everyone, my cousins, whoever. She had a good heart. She was amazing. And when I was thinking about her, I remembered a few instances. For instance, my grandmother used to love roasting bananas, like raw bananas that are not ripe. She would put them under hot ash, and then they'd get cooked or something. And I hated, and I still hate roast bananas. I don't know if anybody can beat my grandmother at roasting bananas, but I hate them. So she used to give me, and I never used to like disappointing her, so I used to take the roast bananas, and then there's a sideboard, there's a place that used to have a sideboard in her house, so I'd place it up there and just walk away. But I think she had also noticed that, so she used to follow me. She takes that roast banana and replace it with a ripe banana. And the next day when I'd go back to check on my banana, I'd find it ripe. And I was like, yeah, this is the best news ever. This is fantastic. And let me tell you something, for a long time, I believed that when you roast a banana and leave it overnight, it gets ripe the next day. But I was dumb because I never realized that this ripe banana that I used to find the next day used to have peels. And the roasted banana, my grandmother used to tore the peels and put it under hot ash. Yeah, and a lot more. Like, I used to steal sugar. I used to eat sugar. Guys, I stole sugar from my grandmother and used to eat it. She never beat me. There are so many things, yeah. And that is the moment when I was now reflecting about my life and with my grandmother. I started now thinking of the lessons that I've picked from things like those. First of all, my first lesson was life moves forward. You lose someone at 10:10 p.m. and 10:11 duty calls have already started. Because when I learned about my grandmother's demise in the afternoon, I had a video to shoot. I had an interview the next day. I had another shoot on Saturday. I had emails to respond to, I had work to do, I had so much, and all these things were oblivious of the fact that I was going through pain and I needed a moment to grieve. Like, everything expects you to attend to it. And you also, if you have a family, those guys need to eat, you need to go for shopping, you need to, like, life moves on so fast. The next thing that I learned is you appreciate love more, because over time, when I lost people, even before I lost my grandmother, I had realized the importance of letting people know how you feel. If you love someone, let them know. If you appreciate something they did for you, let them know. Yeah. And every time, there are people I have actually walked up straight to and told them to never forget that I love them. And I appreciate them as my friends and everything they do for me. Like, I made it clear that they should never, ever forget that I love them. Because I think it started dawning on me that I can die anytime. And I want to have told everyone that I love them. I want to make everybody feel special. I want to, to like have the best relationship with my parents, with my siblings, like, because I want to appreciate and feel love every day, you see? And then there's this whole thing of simplifying life. Let go of negative thoughts, negative vibes, negative environments. Fill yourself with happiness. Look for things that make you happy, things that, speak to you, things that encourage you, because the amount of time that you're focusing on negativity, you could be using it to do something that will impact your life, or in a good way, because the next lesson is life is too short. One moment you're here, the next moment you're not there. Like, have you ever spoken to someone at 10 a.m. and then when you go back to your house, someone calls you and tells you they are not there anymore, and you're like, but see, I've just spoken to them. You see, like, that is how life is. So short, like a blink of an eye. And within that short time, you need to live. And you need to live your way. You need to let other people live. And you also need to have a lot of good things, Then the next thing is grief is personal. I mean that because how I reacted to the demise of my grandmother or my sister is so different from my sister, my mother, and everybody else did. And there are people who can grieve like this moment, they're not going to cry at all. And you're going to be nice, you're going to be organizing the whole funeral thing, and I don't know what, then it hits you much later. Because like for me, when now we did the whole my grandmother shenanigan and we finished burying her, I was at this forefront. I was the one I did a video for the funeral. I did a Google Meet call for guys who were not able to attend the funeral. So you can imagine I was the camera person. I was up and down and da. So when that day ended and the next day I was okay. And when I traveled back to my place and I had a moment of staying alone, that is when the grief hit me. It came with the family, the extended family. Like, it hit me properly that my grandmother had passed on, and I had to take, I think, a day. For one day I was totally out of it because that's the time I was grieving. But remember, everybody grieves their own way. The next lesson is anything can trigger grief. Anything. Somebody can sip tea a certain way and you start grieving about someone. You can find someone walking on the street about minding their own business, and something about them makes you feel sad. Case in point, when I was after I had lost my sister and I was in Nyeri town, walking from the main stage that is down there to another stage. So I used to pass through Kimathi Street. And now I bumped into this lady who was holding her child on this one, because this one she was holding the umbrella, and we were going in different directions. But this baby was playing with the stem of the umbrella in a certain way that resembled the way my sister played with the umbrella. And immediately I started missing and feeling the emptiness and feeling the pain of losing my sister. And I thought about it for a long time, because I stood for a long minute to look at that woman and that child, and what about them made me think about my sister. Yeah. And also I've learned the importance of creating memories, like memories, because once someone is gone, all you're left with are memories. Like now I remember my sister, I remember my grandmother. If you followed me in the previous channel, you know that I loved my grandfather so much. He was amazing. Like, every day is about these people now. Every day of my life is about the memories, the times we shared, something they told me that made an impact, something they did for me that I'll never forget. Like, when I say this, I'm remembering my grandfather. When I used to go and visit him, and then my visiting period is over, I used to go to him and tell him, Guka, now I'm going. So he used to tell me, let me see you off, because if you go to the gate on your own, you will not find a vehicle to take you to town. And so he would walk with me to the gate, and we'd talk until a vehicle came. And then he'd tell me, you see, had I not accompanied you, you wouldn't have gotten a matatu. You see, those and many more things, those are the memories. Like when I remember them, they fill me with joy and happiness. Sometimes they make me start the grieving process again, but sometimes they motivate me and they make me happy, and they make me feel that I was special to that person in one way or the other. The next thing is grief. Grief is not time bound. Like, imagine if we started saying that people heal after 5 years, or we are starting to allocate grief to a bar graph. Would it make sense? You would have curves running up and down, because today you're okay. Then the next time you're up there, like it would be ridiculous. So it's not time bound, and there are people who grieve for 1 month, people who grieve for weeks, there are people who grieve for years. It depends on you and the relationship that you had with that person, and how they made you feel. It depends on so many things, and also how you take news and process death and everything. Okay, then your loss is completely unique to you. We can be in this room, like 10 of us, and we've lost one person, but the gravity of loss will be different to each one of us because of how we knew them, how we related to them, things they did to us, things we did for them. A lot of things will determine how you will experience that loss. Then I've learned that you're not alone. Like, everybody in the planet has lost someone, and everybody is going through loss or grief at a certain point. And because immediately when I lost my grandmother, I know someone else who lost someone the same day, and another person, and all of you at that point are going through grief. It brings life in a wider perspective, that what is happening to you is also happening to another person, and you are not alone. And finally, love lives on. For me, I've lost my grandfather and my grandmother. Like, especially my grandfather was one person who, he meant the world to me, and even my sister. But when I think about them, even when they're already gone, like, my heart is filled with love for them. Like, the love lives on. But this love that lives on is fueled by the memories that you made, because now that I love them, I think about them and the times that we spent, and it lives on through memories. So it's important to create so many memories with people that you love. Let people know that you love them. Life is too short, do not complicate it, as in, live your best life. So those are the lessons that I've learned through my losses. And just like grief is different and unique to everyone else, I believe that also the lessons will be different to all of you. And let me know in the comment section what you think, if you've lost a loved one, and what that loss taught you. Let me know in the comment section. Also, remember to like and subscribe to my channel. Until later, adios.